All right, we have video 2 of 2 on Sunday. 10, what is that today? 15. We'll start with Merck. Stuck between catalyst at 105. So you take out 105, maybe you get to 107, and buyers below. So I'm still in the buy to dip mode short term on this one. 11 days until earnings. MRVL. Buyers below, but man, there's not a lot of room. If you lose 51.40, 51.30, let's call it 51, give it room. If you lose 51, it comes down to 48, which is apparently an area I've looked at before. So buyers below 49.50. Consolidation here. This looks difficult to breach. Bulls still need to be above here, else 48. Same comment. Same comment. Look, there's no volume. It's so much easier to slip down to 46 than it is to get to 60 without a headline. Be careful. It's a good company. Just pick your entries. I wouldn't add to it if I'm long. All right, Microsoft, also a good company. I wouldn't add to it if I'm long. Okay, so why not? Because good companies can still fall because through no fault of their own. So this one went from here to here. So what if this is the same? I'm going to put it there. I wish they would let me put a word to it here so I can say when I did it. Nope. Maybe I'll mark it here so I don't claim victory later. Ghost. Start. So I know when I drew this. So the forecast is maybe we get a rally, fade it into prior resistance. Look at that, works well. And if we do, we might drift down lower. So yeah, it's okay to be long, but tactical. If I'm investing for the long term, I'm already long, I'm not adding. There are plenty of things you can do in between, like self-covered calls and all of that. MSTR, I don't trade this. I would rather trade Bitcoin. You need to study the company. Look at this P&L. It's definitely not a typical company, so don't judge it by the P&L, but you need to study the company. What did they do? How did they make money? How are they going to make you money? What kind of investment, return on your investment are you going to get? I'm going to tell you, if we lose 310, we're going to end up in the 270 area. That arrow is still in play. How about I rephrase it? If they don't get to 340 and 350 and hold it, we're going down to 290 or lower. So be careful. All right. Okay. What is this? Match. I wouldn't touch this. But it is amazing what goes on Match. I saw a friend of mine, they showed me, and I said, what? Anyway, do your homework. P&L, weird P&L, somewhat stable. So it's a matter of judgment, like price to sales. And let's see here. I haven't looked at their fundamental. Price to sales, 3.5. PE is 23. I don't know, 3.5. It's all over the map. It's not expensive from that perspective. Do they bleed cash? They don't bleed cash. Overview. Do they have debt? They have a lot of debt, but that's not always a deal breaker. Anyway, do your homework. Technically, it's not exciting. I think there are sellers into 39, and it's easy to drift lower. So that's my assessment here. What? Okay, biopharma. I'm not going to even review it. There's nothing but headlines in this thing, so do your own homework. The chart's not going to help you much. All right, NCLH. I don't like the industry, and they are selling rallies into a descending channel. This will continue until they hit a floor they like. Well, we can't see a floor, so we zoom back out. Okay, there is a bunch of buyers scattered from 14 to 13.2. So you have the opportunity to stabilize here, but they are selling rallies. So you should respect that. This is a possibility. Okay, respect it. There are buyers below. They're there. So if I'm long, there's no need to add. If I'm looking to get long, I could nibble. Leave room, expect lower, leave room for error. Sell the put spread. Okay, so I don't know who you are. So you're going to have to tell me a little bit more about yourself. Somebody's messaging me in the live room. And okay, so NCLH earnings in 17 days. I don't like the industry itself. Do your homework and figure it out. Charts, support below. I would fade the rallies. Netflix, I don't need to review it because they report earnings this week in 3 days. It's in a breakdown. It's looking for a bottom, and it has weak spots on the chart from before. That's the byproduct of rallying with NVIDIA, when you have nothing to do with NVIDIA. So on a good day, if it was falling into 320 or 330, I would be a buyer of this chart. This was a potential downside, 68. So that would, 68 is my assessment, would be right in this candle right here. The weak spot in the volume has been covered. So I don't want to take a long into the earnings, but if you force me, I would sell puts in that area to own it. Okay. Whoever you are, I don't know who you are when you logged in. I don't see your name. So tell me who you are. You say you're not getting emails. I need to know more about it so I can answer you. Okay. 320 good buyers, 300 or lower better buyers. I want to see what their income is looking like, or if you come to me during the week when they report, the night before they report, we'll look at the options to see if we can guess, and maybe we can put a trade on without any money out of pocket. Okay, send me an email. I don't know what's going on. Tell me where you remember. Here, this is an email. Okay. I'll see how I can help. So zooming in, you can see they're selling rallies. Respect that, but it's a coin flip. We'll talk about it more. I don't invest in Chinese stocks anymore at all. I don't trade them. So to me, I need the least amount of variables. And if I do something with China stocks, there's a variable I can't control, which is China government. And who needs that? I don't. Technically, this is a solid floor at 8. Look at it. It goes lower, yes, but it's a solid floor. My risk on EVs, the rhetoric will change eventually. People will wake up that EVs are not green. They are actually not green. They destroy the planet in order to exist. So yes, you can have some EVs. That's fine. You cannot have 100 million new vehicles a year that are EVs. That's how many vehicles we produce a year, actually more. Imagine if we produce 100 million EVs every year. How many mountains are we going to destroy with this technology? Unless they come out with different battery technology, it is physically impossible to do it. So if the rhetoric switches, then they start picking. Now they give a pass for everybody that loses money. There's only one EV company that makes money, and that's Tesla. The rest lose money. So if the rhetoric becomes negative on EVs, what's going to happen to the company stocks that lose money? That's my risk. So I wouldn't accumulate. If I'm long, period. Technically, you do have support, and your trigger is 9.2, 9.3. You take that out, you get another $1 out of it. You should be able to hold the recent lows without a headline. Look at that. Earnings is 158 days. Remember I told you I want to eliminate variables? Why is it 158 days? Aren't they every 90 days earnings? Why is this one 158 days? You see? That's why you don't touch these things. I don't. Nike. Good company. We went long. We made money. I could be out. I think I sold the put in the 80s. 75, something like that. So great company. When it goes under fire, when it goes on sale, I buy the shoes. There's no better brand, maybe Disney and Apple, but those are probably top 3 brands in the world. Who doesn't know Nike? I was 9 when I bought my first Nike Wimbledons and International. It was a white with a blue swish. I put them on my roller skates after a while. So let's see here. 106 seller zone. I would not want to get long. Below 92 buyer zone. I wouldn't want to short. Ping pong. I would be long Nike. I would sell puts with confidence to own shares. In fact, I'm going to put it back on my watch list if it's not there already. It is there. So there you go, because I sold puts. Okay, now they're holding the floor, but I think if they lose 540, give or take, they might get to 500. They do have a hard bounce at 529. Do I have lines? Probably. Yeah. So let's zoom in. Okay, so they didn't give me my entire target. They went back to base. There is a buyer at 547 and a harder buyer at 536 or lower. You see that? Right there. And that's what, look, I had a line of support. They stopped just above it, and they need to. Otherwise, they drift down here. Alone, it's fine. The range is, if you want to put a box, see, the battle was there. I'm going to move it. Now the battle is, okay. That's the range. Trade the range. Get short here, get long here, get short here, get long here until one breaches if you're actually trading. If you're investing, there's nothing to do. New holdings. That's pretty amazing. This is not an obvious entry point. That's a nope. Not an obvious point of entry. Nope. $8 seller. If they overcome it, seller just above that. And buyers scattered towards 740 or lower. That would be a decent buy. Trading comments. I don't know much about it. Earnings in 30 days. NVIDIA. I do know some about it. 1 second. And NVIDIA, the company is solid. I think it gets too much credit, to be honest, but I'm not an expert, so I cannot argue with them. I'm not an expert on the technology. But this is an ascending channel. There's no doubt about it. This didn't happen. It had repeated itself. It repeated itself. And every time I put it in yellow, it doesn't happen. So we'll take it out. This happened. This didn't happen. So they dipped to exactly my target and they bounced. And now they're trying to hold the pivot zone of 450. I think it extends through 440. So like it or hate it, it has buyers from here to 440. I hate how it broke out. I still think it needs to come back and revisit. I did a video on it. Somebody came back and called me an idiot. Maybe I am. They said it's done it before. I didn't go back and check. My comment was, you don't see charts like these often. You hardly ever see charts like these. That was my comment. And they took issue with it and they blasted me. So maybe they're right. But they do have buyers. Look, point of control, point of control, point of control, point of control, again and again and again. So we have, what is that, 8 days of buyers scattered around 440. Support below. I would buy that dip from a trading perspective. You had a stock that rallied point A to point B. This is the 50% retracement. That's 440 almost. So 50% plus or minus 2 steps, the Fibonacci, that's 38 and 61.8. So that's the golden zone. It's normal for a rally to get back half, plus or minus a little. You could convince me to sell a put spread on this action. Now, if they take out 476, they probably can get to 505, which would be another battle. The investment part, it's too expensive as it is, but maybe the metrics will normalize. In other words, the price of sales is steep, but maybe the sales grow faster than the price of the stock, and that normalizes. That's what happened to Zoom. It went from 125 to like 3. So that may happen with NVIDIA and would no longer be expensive. What is this? Novordisk. Okay. Look at that. There's nothing down here. And there's nothing up here. So the bulls broke out. And what are the bears going to lean on? Not a lot, unless there's something to the left I don't see. Nope. Goodness, yeah, don't short this one. This one goes into the basket of THTH for me. What is THTH? I'll put it down here. Hopefully my bot works. There you go. Too high to chase and too hot to short. Leave it alone. If I'm investing in it and I'm piling in long right now, I don't know Nick, because Nick would never do that. That's not for me. Buy the dip into 98 or 96 would be better, smarter. even then, leave room to add later. Path. I'm long. I don't remember how. I think I sold puts at 15, so I may own shares. I don't remember when that comment was. I would add a second batch here. Okay, the bad thing about Path is it lost these nice bounce levels last week. That was a bad week for Path. So I'm going to have to revisit what long I have in Path and see what I did with it, if anything. I don't remember looking at it on Friday, so I'm surprised I missed it. Maybe I closed it. I have to check. It lived up to the potential twice and then did not hold the floor at all. They went straight through. They do have buyers scattered below 15. So wide support zone still exists. That's all I got to say about it. The fact that they lost this says that they're going to 14. When the stock goes from point A to point B, consolidates this long and losing the consolidation. Now, how did it eliminate that? A pop to 16. What? Nobody asked. Wow. Look at the income per quarter. So this is the disruption of a pandemic. I would never invest in this company for chart reasons and moral reasons. So technically, if I go to a weekly of 5 years, this chart is inside of a hard buying zone, but it extends through 26. So if you can take pain between here and 26, start getting long. The best way to get long a stock like this one is falling out of control and the VIX is high is to sell puts when you want to own shares. Let's say my brother says, I want to own shares of Pfizer. I would say, why don't you sell puts instead? Oh, okay, good idea. Why? Because then you create a buffer and you're not on the hook now, you're on the hook later. So if it falls another 15%, you don't even start losing until 15% lower or so. So trading, yes, it's going into a hard bounce of 31 and another bounce at 30 and another bounce anything below 27. So use caution when trading this guy. That's violence. Last week, what happened? Earnings? No, headline. Lower demand. Well, no kidding. I'm surprised there's any demand. That's 10% in a couple of days. Pioneer, the opposite of that one. They just broke out of a prior fail. Ooh, interesting. So not quite a perfect inverse head and shoulders, but here's a zone that they lost. They couldn't take back. They couldn't take back. They couldn't take back, and they just are breaking out. So you need to confirm that. How? Dip and hold and make a higher high than last week. Maybe you get to 270 or higher. It's got a date with higher points, but they failed to get them. So maybe this is a decent breakout. It's interesting. Oh, okay. Headline. Yeah, I don't trade it. There's a headline. Buyout. Okay. Not for me. Exxon buyout headline. Not for me. PayPal. Come on, man. 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. 1 step forward, 1 step back. So it did well for a period of time in the last 2 weeks when markets were struggling. And last week, it just puked itself and made a lower low. That is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I'm about done trading this guy. I made money in our last trade, and I'm just about done with it. Because the P&L is awesome, and there's something else going on that you and I don't know about. It used to be Bitcoin, but now it's not. Maybe it's retail. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's Venmo. Maybe it's not. I have no idea what's going on. Student loans, maybe. Going back to having to pay student loans, people spending less. I don't understand. All I know is that this was perfectly accurate. Look at it. Whenever we drew this red line, it was freaking accurate. Amazing. So if you're stuck in a trade with this one, let me know. I can help. There's no forecasting the floor. Right now, losing this low should say we're going to like 48, but I won't give up on it yet. It should bounce. We'll see what happens. Starbucks stuck in the middle of a range. Earnings in 18 days. A lot of sellers above. I would imagine a lot of buyers below. So the closer you get to 89, the better the support. You lose 89, you might get to 87 maybe. Oh, and sellers are scattered from here to 84. Any relief off of 84. Look at it. So look at this point and look at that point. I said tough spot. Boy, was it tough, right? So they needed to recover the neckline. So this needs to be above this guy in order to avert finishing the job again. This was perfect. Look at it. We weren't even off by a penny with our assessment. Not by a penny. Look. So sellers, buyers, ping pong inside that range. Apparently nobody wants jam. What is happening? Oh, this is consumer staples. So this is like Pepsi. All right, so they broke apart this head and shoulders, which we had drawn without even drawing the shoulder. They went straight down. I would imagine they're trying to price down $20, so $41 if I look left. Perfect, right inside the disk zone. They're in support right here. Where they are at, this is support and backup support at 105. So if I'm long, I'm not getting out here. If I'm looking to get long, it is tradable. But again, there's something going on with the consumer staples. Let me see here, XLP. Yep. Maybe we're close to a bottom. SJM. So I'm going to put it on my watch list. I don't know what it trades and how it trades. Maybe I'll look at it. Marriott, no. Smart sheet, okay. Strong buyers at 38 through 36. Unbelievable sellers above 45. Yep. So you get long inside the zone and you exit as a rally into 43. Right here, you're guessing. You have a high seller, a strong seller, and a strong buyer. This candle is strong, so that's down to 40. Okay, this one is doing what we thought it would do. SMCI, it over-delivered on its promise, so I can, move this one left, so not to confuse people. This played out already. And this is a band of sellers here. And a band of buyers here. So you're stuck in the middle of a pretty wide range. You have a hard seller at 296 if you want, and 304. 296, 304. The 296 deserves a line all by itself. There. And buyers inside this rectangle down below. Snow. Use bounces to exit. Yeah, that was a correct thing to say. Look, so we'll take this out. Back here, we said buyers and sellers. They're back in the middle of that range. Important zone. Look, still important. So they're still fighting for it. They do have a lot of buyers below, but man, is this messy. Strong buyer at 155. Strong buyer at 152 and a half. 152. And incredibly strong buyer in this red box. Very strong sellers. So Iron Condor maybe. Wait, earnings? No, 46 days. Okay, SOFI, I wouldn't touch it. It's also stuck in a range, and it's a headline stock, student loans, not student loans, blah, 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 blah. I would be interested in it in the yellow circle. Again. Or lower, at the risk of missing out. Right here, I'm guessing. Support below and resistance above. In 2 weeks, we'll find out more about its earnings. Okay, and this is the SBUX. I will have a whole video tonight about the SBUX, so there's no need to. I already talked about it before we started today. You have support below and resistance above. If we lose 42.20, we're going for a ride. Probably about $80 from there. So 41.60, 41.50. Square comments from PayPal. You can regurgitate here. The good thing is it hasn't made a lower high. It kind of looks like the market. So now it's going with the flow. Maybe it's done falling on its own. There's something wrong with the Cash App. That's the only thing I can explain. I don't know what it is. The company P&L is great, but the Cash App is a big portion of its income. Maybe there's something hidden there. Buyers at 42, give or take. Hard sellers at 47 or above. In fact, 46 or above. If they take out 47.50, they can get to 51. Any strength, I would exit positions. Like this one here, I know people that were stuck from 52 and break even was 48 or 49. I would have been out. If not out, I would have sold the hardest covered calls I could to be out. I know one person, at least one person that did that. Good job. Okay, STNE, descending wedge, those have to break up at some point. It is approaching support, so it's too late to panic out. It's okay to nibble. I don't trade that stock. Maybe I should. What did they do? Engage in provision of financial technology. Okay, so fintech. Don't touch it if you're already in Square or PayPal, because that's the same thing. Let me see. Although it doesn't act the same way. This is even worse. So something else is in play here, but technically it is falling into support. 31 days until earnings. STNE. I don't know much about them. Rallies into $11. We'll find a lot of sellers. And I'm going to put it on my watch list just so I can study it. I don't know much about it. Rallies into 11 are going to be sold, and I would use that to get out if I'm trading. Symbiotic. The opportunity here above 43. You can get to 48. Meanwhile, you might have a buyer into 36. Yep. 36 and then another buyer into 33. AT&T, I believe they report earnings. Yes, they do this week. So whatever I tell you here, throw it out the window. It's a coin flip. I can't imagine their revenues are great, but the reaction to earnings is more about expectations. So it does pay a lot of dividends, and it loses bids when the government pays you 5% versus their 5 or 8% or whatever they give in dividends. So XLU, for example, anything that pays a dividend gets sold, loses bids in the market because people would be attracted to bonds that pay just as much almost without the risk. Hard seller at 14.70 and harder seller at 15 and a hard buyer at 14.1. So tight range. We'll see what happens with the earnings. Atlassian, I would consider it. Let me see where it's at. Okay, so possible repeat, whatever that thing says. Realistically half. Okay, so I said possible, but realistically half. So they are in danger of drifting lower. They do have support into the white lines. I did this week, I think, those lines. Rallies are going to be sold hard into 200. Look at it. So the bulls have their work cut out for them. Earnings in 3 weeks, almost under. Target, I wouldn't touch it. It could drift to 108 or 107. If it comes down to 105, it's a long with a stop. If it takes out 113, you will get to 117. The rhetoric is super bad. This box was important back then, and they're right back in the middle. Check this out. Look at the low, look at the high. So this box is still important. I'm going to extend it. This is still available. This played out. I will take it. So buy the dip. Actually, buy this dip for curl and up potential. Support right here. Support. So maybe I'll put an alert here. Tesla earnings are coming. Without the earnings, I would expect the bounce. The bounce, how high it goes is the question mark. 260. If they get to 264, the bears might start sweating that they're going to 284 versus a flush. This is still on the menu. They got almost all of it, but it's still on the menu. Viable zone, yes. So they have strong buyers and strong sellers. It's beautiful going into earnings, an absolute coin flip. Texas Instruments, weaker than I thought. No, let me check. Weaker than I wanted it. But for the last month, I've been saying, why are the put spreads so expensive on a good company and it cannot stop falling? I closed my long. I was short a put, and I closed it for a win. and that was the right call. I may consider it again. It might rally into 155 and 56 and we find sellers. If it doesn't get to 156, it will probably end up being at 149. Or 150. If I have a credit put spread, I would want to roll it to buy myself more time. Earnings are in 9 days. Unity must hold and bounce to 30. Otherwise, it's going to 26. Be careful. UNG, I would be out. So they went from point A to point B. 50% is 7.2. If you were long and didn't book it, what are you expecting? Hard sellers at 8, hard buyers at 6.5, 660. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth. So I would get long anywhere around 7. As a trading comment. UPS. Ugh. Okay, maybe this week is the week. It did show some strength on Friday in a bad day, and it didn't stay green. It was very green, but at least we're setting higher lows, and maybe this higher high, we can consider it. Not yet. We need to retake it. So if it gets to 157.50 this week and holds it this coming week, huge change. This may be the bottom, and it may come up to 161. I would close my loser at any significant strength. Right here on Friday, I could have closed it for 50% loss. Some people decided to, others stuck it out. We'll see what happens. USO, this is not an entry point. I thought that it would pop and fail. It failed before popping. So this played out and then some, but not in the same shape I wanted it to. So let's put it this way, it played out. Actually, let's take it out. Confusing. Weak spot magnet from up here. They sure went into it. Okay, so we'll take that out as well. Okay, no, let's research resistance. So this is likely. UUP, we discussed it via the DXY. I would try to short it again with a stop. Again, luckily it's cheap to short this. Check this out. What happened there? Is that the day the bond market went wacko? Yeah, September 26-ish. So, resistance at 30 and buyers scattered. Shortable, in my opinion. The government will have to change its stance. They're breaking the country. They're going to have to revive us. VinFast Auto. What the heck is this? Yeah, not for me. The chart's not going to help you. You're going to have to study the company. And I mean like deep dive. Chart not going to help you. Verizon. That didn't happen. Okay. Why? Because of the disruption from the spike in bonds. The spike in bonds kills companies that pay dividend, and this one does pay dividend. So I don't know what time frame that was stolen from, but anyway. We are stuck in a range in between 32 and 30. It's still a good company to own. It still pays a great dividend, but it will fall with the stock market. So vulnerable, boy, was it vulnerable. They should have held this. They didn't. The fact that they're below that. So I'm going to say get back above 32 or you can drift to 29. Get back above 32 or drift to 29. W. Who's trading W still? Yeah, not me. Oh my gosh. There's no, I mean, it could fall to 36 without any help from anybody. Maybe I'll give you a target, $22. $22. There you go. 40. Not for me. You don't have any recent support, so it's a falling machete. Eventually, it'll be catchable. If you want to sell a put to own shares, that's probably the best way to do it. This way, you can leave all this room and sell a put down here. All right. W. Walmart, it recovered. The easy work is done. This here is an exit, not an entry spot. So it might curl back down. How far down it goes, that's the ticket. If it goes to 156, that is an entry, in my opinion. That's where the support really lies. I don't know what the heck happened here. with Walmart. Why did it fall so much that one day? Anyway, sellers into 162. I'm confident. XLE, like the USO, I would sell rallies. This is not an entry point. That's Chevron Exxon, by the way, are 50% of this almost. So sellers into 91. Buyers into 87. Ping pong inside of those. Exxon, see, looks like the XLE. Sellers into 111, into that yellow circle. I don't think we can get there. And buyers scouted below. It's a good company. XSP, it's the SBX. Same comments about the SBX, SPY, all coming tonight. Zoom, I like the company P&L. They have competition. I'm hiring their competition. 61 must hold. If you lose 61, you finish this. We got this arrow perfectly. This arrow we never did, but they may have just delayed it. So if I'm selling puts, I want to hide below 56. But I want it on my watch list because it is inside support. Maybe I'll take a flyer on it. Sold put, that's an old, I would repeat this one here. Okay, somebody's in here asking for UNH. UNH just reported, and I forget what, oh, that's why the Dow was not red this Friday, because this is a beast in the Dow. The Dow is a price-weighted average, so this is a $540 stock. How is it not split yet? Don't short it. I bet you that headline is coming. The Dow, the people that run the Dow cannot let that happen. This thing counts 3 times more than Apple for the Dow index. So it did what we thought it would do, but now it's running into resistance. So this is not an entry point. I bet you there's a headline in the next 6 months. UNH splits. That shouldn't matter, but the idiots on Wall Street chase it. Anyway, so that's UNH. All right, folks, I'm going to stop the video. I appreciate you watching at home and you being here in the room.